Donald Trump unleashed his midterm message inside our nation's hotel doormat, USA Today, predicting that if elected, Democrats will turn us into Venezuela, where the currency is printed on perforated rolls because it's worth less than toilet paper. In fact, toilet paper is a rare commodity there. Never shake hands with a Venezuelan socialist. If William Devane were doing commercials in Caracas, he'd be saying, now's never been a better time to buy Charmin. Because sadly, toilet paper is gold, which they may not need anyway because there's no food. It's gotten so bad, zoos have become a sizzler for the starving. Eating a zebra isn't just for lions anymore. The Democrats see this as progress, maybe, because the poor things are no longer caged. Donald Trump hit on this last night.
You don't hand matches to an arsonist, and you don't give power to an angry left-wing mob, and that's what the Democrats have become. They would turn our country so fast into Venezuela, and Venezuela's not doing too well, folks.
It isn't. There's that M word again, which should never be used to describe threatening hordes.
Is it mob behavior? No, it's not mob behavior. It's people who are upset and they're angry with the way the country is going and the policies that these people. Will you let me finish, Matt, please, before you jump in? Okay.
Someone needs a timeout. Meanwhile, Trump says of the Democrats' lurch to the left, quote, every single citizen will be harmed by such a radical shift. Virtually everywhere it has been tried, socialism has brought suffering, misery, and decay. But maybe that's the point. What happens when you destroy prosperity? Well, besides vacating zoos, you vacate a country and elect a Bernie. It's the Democrats' version of the wall. Who wants to come here if here is worse than there? The Dems' backward thinking actually reverses traffic. But maybe I'm wrong. If only there were examples of people fleeing lousy places that once were great before leftists took over. Oh, yeah, Venezuela. I think we have the Democrats' slogan for 2020. Zebra, it's what's for dinner. So I've noticed this, Jedediah, that Trump's message is to link the Democrats with Venezuela. It's kind of like what he did with, Crooked Hillary and what's that guy? What's Slow-Eyed Nick or whatever?
Slow-Eyed Nick. Sleepy-Eyed Chuck.
Sleepy-Eyed Chuck. Yes, yes.
You were close, Greg.
Slow-Eyed Nick. That sounds like a drink.
It does.
Yes, but it's he's doing that thing.
Yeah, well, it resonates. He has a way of saying things in a way that's very relatable to people and that really hits home. And one thing that always strikes me is that Democrats like to present themselves as pro-choice. On abortion, of course. They make the argument we're pro-choice. On everything else, they're anti-choice. And when I was looking at what he wrote, I was thinking, wow, the Democrats don't want to give people the opportunity to choose their doctors, to choose what kind of health care they want. They have some audacity calling themselves pro-choice. I know they limit it to abortion, but it's insane. I think the point needs to be driven home to people. Why do you trust, especially on health care, why do you trust bureaucrats to do a better job for yourself than you can do? Why? Because government is not God. And the left likes to treat government like it's a doer of good and it's a public servant. It's just a bunch of bureaucrats that sit in rooms and make regulations and make laws. When it comes to your health and your well-being, don't you want to be in charge?
Not me. I want people to make decisions for me. One, I think the Democrats' only hope in the midterms is Donald Trump, because you've got about 20 some odd days for something to happen that will make us forget the Kavanaugh momentum.
I think the big issue here, and it touches on socialism monologue, is health care. Because I think that is, Jedediah, what people are upset about. I mean, the number one issue for so many people is high cost of prescription drugs, the viability of things like Medicare and Social Security. And so right now, this is amazing to me, but according to the polls, you have 70% of Americans who support Medicare for all, single payer, including 52% of Republicans. And something like Obamacare, I'm sure any Fox viewer remembers, oh, Obamacare is terrible. Now, Obamacare has the majority support of the United States of America.
Maybe because they feel like there's no choices left because it's been around. When something sticks around for a while, and I know this because I'm describing myself, people just get used to it, right? You just hang around.
Never get used to it.
Yeah, you never get used to it.
That's why people like you, Greg.
Yes, exactly.
That's why we tune in every day.
Jesse, it was interesting that Donald Trump actually penned a column in USA Today. For young people at home under the age of 30, it's a newspaper, which is it's kind of like your phone, except the stuff on your phone is printed out.
That was mean, Greg, what you said about USA Today. I can't believe that. I hope they never run any of your columns. He should have written in the New York Post or the Wall Street Journal, by the way.
Yes. He's trying to reach a bit broader audience.
Maybe, perhaps. But he does have a gift for making big, bold contrasts. Yeah. Look how he's setting this up. America versus Venezuela, capitalism versus socialism, greatness versus misery. And it's not just a good midterm message, it's a good general election message, because he's right. The Democrats, once they got their claws into health care, they're not going to stop there. Yeah. You just have to listen to what they say. They've talked about capping CEO salaries. They've talked about guaranteeing housing as a right. They've talked about universal pre-K, universal college. In California, they're experimenting with guaranteed income. So carbon tax. There's a lot of socialist ideas that they're kicking around, which are very dangerous. And if the Democrats get a hold of any lever of government, especially the economy, they are going to slow down this boom so big. Wage growth is going to slow down. Investment's going to slow down. Entrepreneurship's going to slow down. It's going to be very dangerous. This is a very good message going into the midterm.
Dana, I know you have something you want to say.
No, but I'll wait. Okay. Whatever you want to talk about.
Do you think CNN got a memo about the mob? It's like you don't say, you don't call gangs animal.
The M word.
The M word, yes.
You can't say it.
It's not just CNN. Yeah. It's across the board on the left. Because what's happened is President Trump has the ability to make the contrast, and he has the left on defense, so it's on its heels, and you have this the idea that now the Democrats on every show or on the social media, it's not a mob. We are not socialists. We are not for abolishing ICE. Like, there's no proactive message that they can get across, because he always has them just responding to him.
Right.
And so that's why, like, he's already setting up 2020. It's like, basically, it's America versus you. What do you want to be?
Yeah.
America or the socialists. It's a great civics and economics lesson this past 3 years. It's incredible.
It is.
One thing we didn't get a chance to talk about this week because of all the news is that for the first time in history, over 50% of the world's population is middle class or higher. It's never happened before. It didn't happen without capitalism.
Yeah.
And we didn't have really a chance to talk about that.
You know, I think capitalism is great. The other day I was at a ceremony, and this young woman came up and said, you know, so many people are down on capitalism, but the reality is that if you involve not just profits, quarterly profits, but you start talking about stakeholders, employees, workers, investors, it has made us richer. But I think that's why people are concerned about the high cost of drugs in this country and the high cost of, I mean, we pay twice as much per capita as any country in the world. And yet we have 30 million people who are uninsured, and we know if you get a bad accident, it can be catastrophic for your economic well-being in America.
It's totally unaffordable, though. Medicare for all, it's unaffordable.
I don't think so. I think there's savings involved.
32 trillion.
All right.
Chuck
Enough of
Lawhouse.
this talk.